Hello there and welcome to Project Business Basics, designed to give you the tools to make smarter financial decisions. Whether you're looking to learn something brand new or just want to refresh on some basic economics, there's a place for everyone on our show. I am Archit Janarkar and I'm your host. So today we're going to be talking about several SEC forms, and SEC stands for the Securities and Exchange Commission. It is a body within the United States government that regulates publicly traded companies. And the SEC requires all publicly traded companies, so companies that sell stock in the United States, to publish several forms. And today we're going to talk about three of those forms. And these are three of the most common forms that you'll end up seeing. They are the 10Q form, the 10K form, and the 8K form. So let's get right into it. So the 10Q form is the first form we'll discuss. And for this one, I want you to remember that the Q in 10Q is for quarter. And the 10Q form is a form that's filed on a quarterly basis by a company. So every company has what is called a fiscal year. Some companies like Amazon can have their fiscal year line up exactly with the calendar year. Amazon's fiscal year of 2020 runs from January 1st, 2020 to December 31st, 2020. But other companies sometimes have their fiscal years run differently. Take Microsoft, for example. Microsoft's 2020 fiscal year ran from July 1st, 2019 to June 30th, 2020. And even though 2021 hasn't begun yet on the calendar, Microsoft's fiscal year of 2021 already began on July 1st of 2020. So companies have these fiscal years then that vary from company to company. But what every company does is they have to report their earnings by quarter. So every company has a fiscal year of 12 months. No matter what calendar they use, it's still going to be 12 months, and that 12 months is divided up by 4 quarters, which means that there are 3 months in each quarter. And these quarters are commonly referenced through earnings seasons. There's almost always a company that's reporting its earnings every week, and that's simply because these companies have different fiscal years. But every time that a company's quarter ends, they have to file with the SEC what is called this 10Q form. So the 10Q form is the official form that they file with the SEC, saying over the quarter, this is what happened with our finances, this is what happened with our business. So these companies then are given 45 days after the end of their quarter to file the 10Q. So I was referencing Microsoft earlier. Microsoft's fiscal year of 2021 began on July 1st, 2020. When did the first quarter of their 2021 fiscal year end? That ended on September 30th of 2020. So within 45 days after September 30th, they are required to file their 10Q. Now let's go over to the 10K. The 10K form is the annual form. So Microsoft will file their 10Q form at the end of the first quarter, second quarter, and third quarter. But the fourth quarter, they're going to do something different, because the end of the fourth quarter means that it's also the end of the fiscal year. So after the end of the fourth quarter, a company has 90 days, or about 3 months, to file their 10K. And 10K is an annualized version of the previous 3 10Qs, but it's also even more comprehensive than that. Most 10K forms are going to contain financial statements that have been audited by professional accounting companies, and 10Ks are generally going to contain information such as a summary of the business, risk factors that are involved in the business, selected financial data, management's discussion and analysis of that data, along with other financial statements. And the 10K form is designed to be very thorough, and it's designed to help an investor better understand the company and make an investment decision. And we've alluded a little bit before to 10K forms on this show when we've talked about annual reports. Annual reports are basically slightly condensed versions of 10Ks, where 10Ks can be hundreds of pages long and they can be very dull to read through. But annual reports and 10Ks often tend to have a lot of the same essential information between them. And now let's go over to our final forms, 8Ks. And to me, 8K forms, I think of them as the catch-all form, where during the fiscal year, a company is reporting what's happening in their business every quarter. And then at the end of the fourth quarter, instead of a 10Q, they end up filing a 10K. But there's also so much happening within a business between each quarter and throughout the fiscal year. So the 8K form is the form that's there then for any major events that occur in the business during a quarter and not during a filing period. So for example, it could include any acquisitions a company makes, if a company plans to file for bankruptcy, if a company has a change in the board of directors, or if there are any other corporate changes. The 8K is the form that's used to document that. And this 8K is just notifying the SEC and investors that, look, we know it's not our 10Q or our 10K filing period right now, but we just had this significant event occur, so we're going to tell you, the SEC, and our investors about it. So that's what the 8K form does then. It notifies people about significant events that occur. Take, for example, the company Salesforce recently acquiring Slack. So then within 4 days of that acquisition, Salesforce and Slack were required to fill out 8K forms officially notifying the SEC and their investors of the acquisition. Okay, let's recap. We talked about 3 types of SEC forms today. SEC forms are forms required by the Securities and Exchange Commission of the United States that regulates publicly traded companies or companies that publicly sell stocks in the United States. So the first 2 forms were the 10 forms. Each company has its own fiscal year, and every quarter of that fiscal year, it reports what's happened in the business. And for the first, second, and third quarters, the company is given 45 days to file a 10Q. But at the end of the fourth quarter, whenever the fiscal year is ended, the company is then given 90 days to instead file a 10K report, which is full of financial statements and summaries. But of course, as with any business, there will be significant events that occur in between those quarters. So the form that serves to report those events is the 8K form. And all of these forms that are filed with the SEC can be accessed by anyone by just going over to the SEC website and searching for the company just by entering its stock symbol or its company name, and then searching by form type. I hope you enjoyed that episode and learned something from it. If you're looking for recommendations for good investing and business books, I encourage you to check out the Project Business Basics blog, and also sign up for the Project Business Basics newsletter. You can do all this through the Project Business Basics website, which is www.businessbasics.online. Also, make sure to check out our social media. We're on Instagram and Twitter with the username @PROJBIZBasics. I'm Archie Janarkar. This is Project Business Basics. Thanks for listening.